Wednesday, June 3. Welcome to CGN News. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that there will be mandatory COVID screening for all passengers arriving in Jamaica this month. During the period June 1 to 14, arriving Jamaicans will go through a two-element screening process, and when the borders open to other travelers from June 15, they too will be screened. Holness noted that screening will have two elements. The first element is the temperature check and the observation for symptoms, and the second element as a risk-based screening, which includes the interrogation of passengers about their travel history. Secondary schools in Barbados are due to reopen Monday, June 8, to facilitate students writing CXC examinations in July. The Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, METVT, has been granted permission to reopen secondary schools across the island once certain health and safety protocols can be fulfilled. The reopening will afford students of CXC classes who have not completed their school-based assessments, SBA, and internal assessments for Caribbean Vocational Qualifications, CVQs, the opportunity to do so. Schools in Barbados have been closed since March 18, one day after Barbados announced its first two cases of COVID-19. A set of guidelines were conceptualized in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the teachers' unions. Some include all persons will be required to wear face masks on school compounds at all times, the sanitization of books and learning apparatus, and staggered arrival and departure times to avoid overcrowding. The Jamaican government has devised a travel bubble with participating countries in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says people entering the island directly from any of Jamaica's travel bubble countries will face an easier re-entry process. The countries include Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, the Cayman Islands, Montserrat, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia and St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. The Prime Minister described the travel bubble as countries which pose the lowest risk of spreading the coronavirus. Therefore, they are governed by modified protocols which will speed up the re-entry process. Holness noted, however, that everyone entering the island will be screened. The process will include a temperature check, observation of symptoms at the airport, and a health risk assessment. Overseas now, President Nicolas Maduro said Venezuelans will be able to buy gasoline at international market prices, marking a historic break in the South American country's practice of having world's cheapest fuel. Across the nation, 200 filling stations will allow drivers to fuel up for the equivalent of 50 cents a liter, or US $1.90 a gallon. Venezuelans will also be able to buy a limited amount of subsidized gasoline each month, paying 2.5 cents a liter or 9 cents a gallon. The government will continue to pay for all fuel used by public transportation, Maduro said. Venezuela has the world's largest underground oil reserves, but it has been forced to buy fuel from Iran to bridge deep shortages, unable to pump crude from the ground and turn it into gasoline. The last of 5 Iranian tankers is approaching Venezuela's coast, but experts say that even those shipments will supply the nation's drivers for only a few weeks. Venezuela's state-run oil company, PDVSA, is also attempting to restart gasoline production with Iran's help. Maduro accused the United States for leading an economic war against Venezuela, while Maduro's critics say years of corruption and mismanagement by the socialist government led to the scarcities. It remains unclear how the new system will work and whether the government can provide enough gasoline to meet demands. Nigeria's commercial center, Abuja, its capital city, and Ogun State by President Muhammadu Buhari in March. During a televised briefing on Monday, the chairman of Nigeria's Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, announced that mosques, churches, and hotels are now free to open with certain conditions. Worshippers must wear face masks, maintain social distancing, and properly wash or sanitize their hands before joining their congregation. Hotels are also to maintain the same interventions and limit the capacity of guests they allow in. Restaurants, bars, and other social gatherings are to remain closed. Also, schools are yet to be opened and interstate travel is still banned. With more than 10,500 confirmed cases of coronavirus as of June 2, the Task Force on COVID-19 says Nigeria is yet to reach the peak of the virus, citing higher cases in Europe and South America. Other African countries like Ghana, Madagascar, and South Africa have also eased their coronavirus-related restrictions. In April, Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo lifted a 3-week lockdown in 2 cities, Accra and Kumasi, citing the severe impact of restrictions on the poor and vulnerable in the West African nation. And in South Africa, alcohol is back on sale after a ban was imposed as part of measures to fight COVID-19. The alcohol ban was in place to allow the police and hospitals to better focus on tackling the virus. Still, the WHO has warned that as countries continue to ease coronavirus regulations, there is a need to remain vigilant and ramp up testing and surveillance measures to detect any spike in cases. New Zealand's government could ease coronavirus restrictions as early as next week, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced. Ardern told a press conference that New Zealand was ahead of schedule. The country has not reported any new cases for 11 days in a row. According to Johns Hopkins University, New Zealand has had 1,504 confirmed cases and 22 deaths. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.